tools we want to build. I'm trying to build is a dynamic database migration tool. So I'm going to go over the requirements for that. So introduction, right? We're trying to do is develop a software that allows users to connect to, yeah, sure. Yeah, allow users to connect. In the settings. Okay. So we want to build a software that allows users to connect to and migrate data between different database types by entering database credentials through a user interface. The initial prototype for now will focus on migrating data from PostgreSQL to MongoDB without any data transformation, so the data will be moving as it is. Some of the requirements that we have a user interface. Uh, so basically, we will have like a form, right? We'll have a simple form where users will input their database credentials, and these are the credentials that will input: the host, the port number, the database name, the username, the password. This is all that is required, right? When you go to PG admin, those are the things that you usually when you connect for an application like Java or any other kind of Python, you need to provide these details to be able to connect to a database. Uh, yeah, so the user interface we will not be doing now, but this that's one of the ideas, right? I will not be creating that. We will be talking about that later in future videos. The database connection. We will implement a functionality to securely connect to Postgres and MongoDB, where the user will provide the credentials to establish those connections. The data migration. This is actually what we'll be doing in this video, right? Implement backend logic to extract data from PostgreSQL. And right now, the examples I will show you will be more going into MySQL for now. Because you will see, but this is the general requirements for now. We want to do it to MongoDB. Uh, ensure data is migrated as it is without any modifications. Will implement error handling, notify users of connection errors and invalid credentials, like errors for troubleshooting purposes. So our first prototype will initially focus on migrating data from PostgreSQL to Mongo. Future versions will support additional databases. So this will be what we're building, right? This is an example of the design where we have a PostgreSQL database. Then we will have our application, our software application, and then we will have the Mongo database. So the software application will handle, in this case, we will build it with a Spring Batch, will handle the migration of the data between these two databases. Okay. So aside from that, is code. And before we get into building this, this will be a process, right? It will be a step-by-step process. I have already, let me show you what we currently have. Okay. So for that, you could I'll go here to our Git organization, and we currently have two projects that we will be using uh, for this migration. This is kind of like we already kind of have some like a small foundation, but it's not complete yet. So currently what we have is a Spring Batch Postgres to MySQL data migration. Let me open this one first. And I'm just gonna just give you an overview of what it does. But basically, And this is in this project, what we have is we connected, we had 10,000 records in a Postgres database. We had a total of 10,000 records. And in MySQL, we basically we're able to migrate the data, those 10,000 records. And we also, let me see if I could open this. It looks a little bigger, make it look a little bigger. There you go. Uh, yeah, we also, Spring Batch contains its own metadata. It already contains some classes where it shows the management of the jobs that it creates, to manage the process of if something was able to get migrated. For example, in this case, we show failed status, right? And then in here, we show completed. So in MySQL, we also created this other database uh, to handle, or this other schema to handle or to keep these transactions, and so we could see them, what is happening to all our transactions. So yeah, this is the project. This project is public, so you could find it. This link. I will not go into the details yet. I will leave that to another part. This is just an introduction, so we know what the projects are for now. The other project that we have is dynamic query engine, right? So in the dynamic query engine, okay, we have not updated this, the main class yet, but I think the integration class should have the latest. So in this dynamic query engine, this is the project structure. You will find the documentation here. It's more advanced, right? We have a little bit more information. I will be doing the same to the other project as well, where I will be showing a project structure like this. What kind of technologies are we using, right? We mainly using Java. The primary programming language of the application is Java, Spring Boot, Spring Data JPA. Spring Boot is a framework to simplify the creation of standalone production-grade Spring-based applications. Spring Data JPA, a part of a larger Spring Data family, makes it easier to implement JPA-based repositories. It basically means that you could connect to databases by creating object entities. That's the main purpose of it. Instead of executing SQL statements, it's almost like you are doing it through objects, really. Spring Web, this is you need a must-have to build web, including RESTful applications using Spring MVC. Okay, we are using Lambda in this project, a Java library that automatically plugs into your editor and builds tools to avoid writing boilerplate code. And okay, since that we have an H2 database here, I don't know, I gotta check this. I don't know how this is being used, but I guess we have it there. Maven, a build automation tool used primarily for Java projects. Is this mainly to handle dependencies and in the versioning of your code? Okay, so yeah, you have more details here. I'm not sure. Yeah, this code is still actually not public yet. We have to make it public. Okay, controller package. So let me show you how this project works. Actually, I will show you how it runs. I think I have it. No, this is another project. Let me query engine. I will just run it. Yeah, I just leave it running so you can see what it does. Right, so this is running, and let me open pgadmin. I already installed pgadmin. So this is the database that we will be using, the Four Devs University, right? And this database has three tables. It has department, student, and it has subject learning. So what does a dynamic query engine does? Let me show you the Postman collection for that. So dynamic query engine basically contains some APIs. One is to connect to the database, okay, and this is a post RESTful API, and these are the fields that we need to fill out to be able to connect to a database. So we need a database manager, which is going to be PostgreSQL, the host. In this case, we're doing localhost, and this is the port that I'm using, 5432. So CS, some query. So port. See 5432. The database name is running in localhost. Um, the username that we have is Postgres, and the password is going to be that one for my local computer. So if I click send, connected successfully to the database. So this is the database that we're using, and it gives you the database name. And it basically ran here in this port, the application, as you can see. So yeah, I don't have a console statement here showing this information, but maybe we'll add it later. So also for debugging purposes. But yeah, this is working as expected. So we are connected now. Now that we are connected, we should be able to retrieve additional information from the database uh, without having to create any POJOs or any entities. That's the whole purpose of this application. So right now we have a list tables. This is another API we have to get the list of tables. Actually, this is not, I have updated the information, so I think it will be this one. Yes, sorry about that. Show you the controllers. If you go to the controllers, these are the controllers that we have, the REST controllers. So we have the connect database, API connect to database, right? And then we have also list tables. List tables. I guess it might just be list table. Why did I put data here? But let me see. Okay, this is working, right? API is list tables. So we are retrieving the tables I was showing you guys before, department, student, and subject learning, as you saw in the database. Show this, right? So here we got our information, the list of the tables. So what was this? I guess, okay, this is another API. Okay, this is mainly to get data. It says that's for, this is for each particular table, as you can see, right? Here we have the list of tables, and then for each particular list of tables. So here, so we have data and then the table name. And let's see what this one does. We are putting the actual table name, right? This is a, I forgot how you call this kind of, when you have those curly brackets, it means that you could put some value here, right? In this case, we put in the department. So what information we are giving here? So we're giving the columns, right? With the column name is the ID, it gives the type and the column size. It's giving a lot of information. And the column name is the department, the type, and the column size. It gives you the page size, the total number of rows. So let's take a look in that in our Postgres itself. Here, department. Yeah, so it has these two colors, right? You see that. So I just put everything for now so we can see them. Select everything. So we have, yes, the ID and the department name, which is also given here. ID and department name. Page size. Total rows, you have 5 rows. Closer, it's a little too far. And then we have the ID, it says computer science. Then ID number 2, it has all the information, basically all the fields, all the values in those rows are coming here. So we're getting the data. We are going to the particular table, and we're also getting the entire data from it. And then we mentioned basically the current page and what is the actual table name. Again, so this is like a more detailed information than just getting the list of tables. So I have this example, but this is the same one again. And then I have for the other tables, such as learning, I have another one. You click on that one, it's basically the same information. It gives you the column names, the page size, the total number of rows. We have a lot of rows in this. It's like 200, yeah, 200 km and more. And then the rows, and it tells you all the values for the rows. Okay. So let me go and do a query for that. Such a learning. When you do that query, it basically automatically gives you it gives you all the columns that you could find in that table. So this should be all the columns. Something happened here. What happened? Select. Okay, it worked now. So we have the ID, the subname, the student ID, and marks obtained from this table. And then the last one will be students. So if we go to students, on the body, there's nothing, right? This is a get operation. Similar again, we get all the information again. and then the rows, and then the current page. I think if you could go into, we need to implement other pages so we could get, but depending on the page that you want to go to, you should be able to get those particular students. Okay, then we have, aside from just getting the information from the data from the each of these particular tables, you could also get the columns. So if you want to retrieve the columns for the department, it basically gives you this information only, which we saw before, right? And this is the data one is more detailed, basically. This one is just giving you this part of the data. If you don't need the entire information, right? We kind of made it like this so you don't, yeah, you don't get everything. You don't need to, so you save bandwidth, I guess. That was the reason. So we have subject learning also, similar. And then we have students, right? We got the ID, the first name, last name, email, and department ID. So that's the whole purpose of this dynamic query engine. It's basically to find the schemas, find the tables, and find the columns dynamically without having to use entity objects. So I will be showing it in, let me see, could actually show how that works. Okay. Let me run it in debugger mode so we can see that. I don't think I have yeah, I have not set up any endpoints for debugging, but let's go check it out. Where is the database credentials, right? This will be the first thing that would be looked into once we call this database connection. Actually, now that I just started the application, I want to show you that, right, you cannot get this information without first connecting to the database. So if I try to run any of these other get operations, it will fail for sure. You see internal server error. Even though I started, it's already started. But this is the error that actually we need to put. I think I didn't put the error here, but it says credentials must be set before calling this method. We're not outputting this error yet here. Similar for those. So you need to establish the connection first before you call those other APIs. Okay, so putting this debugger there, if I click send, this was previous. Let me remove that. I click the next. Oh, where did you send me to? Okay, we don't, that's an internal Spring Boot class, so we don't need that. Okay, if I click run it, I think I will need to put more debuggers because it's gonna keep jumping. Let me go here, put a couple of debuggers. So we could, well, as an interface class, but it's probably gonna come here. Connect, yeah, connect this one. It's gonna go here. And actually, let me put one in the controller as well. What else? What else? What else can we put? Data source context wasn't in here. This, I think, this happens before we even hit the. This happens. This is a setup. This is like a configuration. So this is gonna happen I will put it here so we can see it too as well. I'll put some of them here just so we can see what is happening. Data source manager. Okay, this one is a good one. Creating test connection. Test connection. Let me restart it. You see, as soon as I restarted, right? As soon as we restarted the application, it jumped into this data source context service, which is this class right here. Data source, it's a configuration class. So thread local is the current template. It's going to set up the current template. And what this does, I have commented a lot into this project, so it's easier to understand. But the thread local is basically used to store the current JDBC template instance for each thread. Okay, we might have multiple connections, so that was the purpose of this. You might have multiple threads of a connection, so that's the purpose of this. So that is set up. Let me go to the move to the next point. Okay, just stay there running. Let's see what happened. Okay, okay, so it's good. Basically, the configuration is done, right? Now that it's done with that, now it should hit the API. If not, it's going to hit the object creation. So we click send. Yeah, it goes here to the database credentials, right? That's what we're inputting right now, the database credentials. So it's going to come here, and basically all those values will be mapped to this location. Just jumped. Okay. But this should be mapped already. If I go to the auditor, debugger, database credentials, yeah, we have all our details now. Database credentials, everything is filled out. The database service. Let me see what we have here. Data dynamic data source manager. We don't have nothing there yet. Environment, okay. Database credentials, nothing here yet. Okay. So if we click next, okay, so here, yeah, yeah, right. We jump to our controller. That's what we call our controller. We set up the object and the object that we wanted to, and now that information is coming here. Should be everything is here. Yeah, database credentials, which is of a database credentials type, right? And now what it's going to do is going to call this method. If we control and click this method, it takes us to an interface. The database service is an interface. So yeah, and this takes this input. We wanted to create the interface. Let me remove some classes that we're not use. So we're already connected to that. We don't need that. Remove that from the we haven't used that. We already this already got configured, so let's take that out. So let me go into opening this actual the actual implementation for this. I think you could press Control, Alt, Shift, and B. I think press there. I remember. I forgot how you do it. Now you're gonna find out. Let me go back. Click next. I just click next, and it took me here because I have already put this here with the debugger, right? So it took me. This is the actual part of the implementation. So database service implements the database service. And once we pass these values, the first step is to validate the credential. So we have a debugger and validate credentials. No, we don't. So I'm going to show it here. We're gonna come here, and basically what this is saying is that we need to have a database credentials. The database name is empty. Database credentials empty, not empty. Database false. If database is not equals to null, null and it's not empty, right? It's not null, it's not equals to null and it's not empty. And get username is not equals to null and database credentials get username is empty. It's not empty. Okay, and then the password. Okay, if that is as long as it's not null and it's not empty, then we're good. This should be valid. This is gonna return a boolean, right? So let's say we provide this as empty, all these values as empty. It's gonna come here and this should return a true state, right? It's gonna return a true state. It's not empty. Oh no, 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 no. If we leave it empty, it's gonna return false, right? Because here we're putting that it should not be empty. But in our case, we are putting values. So all of this is gonna say at the end is gonna return true. So let's take a look at that. Right? Let me first like this, right? If you do it like this, right now it's validating as true, right? Nothing is empty. But now since we're putting the negation there, it's basically saying this is gonna turn it into a false. No, it's gonna turn it to a true. It's gonna turn into a false. Yeah, that's correct. It turns into a false, so we don't need to go here. This is a valid request. This is to handle like if it is invalid. So we are good here. So now that we validated our credentials, the database credentials get stored into this class, and we store these credentials for future use. So if we need to use it in another method, uh, it's going to be there. That's the whole purpose of it. It's going to get stored in memory. So now we proceed to the next steps, creating test connection. We pass in the credentials, right? We're creating credentials. And this is again another way to handle a negative scenario. And I think I put the description here. Try to create and test a database connection with the provided credentials. The create and test connection method returns true if that connection is successful, which is going to happen. It's going to return true, right? We are testing the credentials. It's going to return true because we provided the right details as we saw before. But then we're negating it. We're making it false so we don't have to execute this request. So what will happen if this will return false, this method? If this returns false, then this negation makes it true. So this if statement will execute and return this negative scenario. basically saying failure to connect to the database, and it will provide the database name. So now that we have that, right, let's keep going ahead. Oh, I guess actually jump here. Jump here, but yeah, let's go over this too. See it. So all the credentials are placed into generate key. A key is generated. It's basically, let me see that what the key looks like. Yeah, the key looks like this. Basically, everything gets concatenated together. All these details get concatenated together into this string key. And then data source, cache, compute with AdSense. I haven't seen this part of the code, but that's in detail, to be honest. If test connection JDBC template. So he's going to do a query into the database. Select one, returns true. So we are back into creating test connection. So it goes into the if statements. And in the if statement, it basically setting the current template, the current JDBC templates. Yeah, right here, set current templates. So that's gonna return true. So like I was saying, right? This returns true. So this gets negated to false. So this doesn't execute. So we don't execute the negative statement. Data source key, dynamic data source manager, get key, database credentials. Okay, so we should already have the key somewhere. But let's see what happens. Yeah, we're just basically getting the key. Again, we are building the key, I guess, here. I guess that's what is happening. We're building the key here again. We pass the credentials, and again, we're using generate key for user data source. Right, like I said, it was a concatenation. See, return credentials, database manager, the host, everything gets concatenated. All these details. We are reusing the same methods, which is great. And we're getting the JDBC template again for this. Okay. So we set up the JDBC template for this key. This the current templates. We set the current template again. Return response entity. Okay, so connected successfully to database. And then we will return a response, right, for this. Let's click go. And there you go. We get the correct response. I think, yeah, for now, for this video, I will start right here. Let me go back. And then we will proceed in another video. In the next video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, similar to how I did this one, I'm going to show what we do in this one, Spring Batch Migration Tool. No, not that. This project. So I hope you like what I just showed you now. So if you guys have any comments, any feedback, any questions, that would be great. I would like to answer your questions and yeah, provide you with valuable information. So for next episode, I still don't know when I'm gonna do it, but we're just starting, so I'm kind of starting to get into schedule for this. But we definitely want to provide you some good content, and we greatly appreciate if you let us know what you guys think about this. But we'll be going over this, how this works, a spring batch, and yeah, we'll eventually we will combine both of them. We'll combine both of them. We'll combine the dynamic query engine with Spring Batch, which currently Spring Batch is using actual entity objects, like I was mentioning, right? It's using actual entity objects to establish a connection. So the idea is not to need this at all, not even need this. Mm, and for now, it's just Postgres. This is Postgres to MySQL. Yeah, I wanted to build it Postgres to Mongo, but we'll see. We'll see. Maybe it might do MySQL or might do Mongo for it. We'll see. And yeah, that's all I have for now. I hope you guys enjoy and hope to see you next time in the next video. And thank you for watching.